Hello beautiful and exotic women of the world, welcome back to another video. I want to preface this video by saying that I understand that any type of melanated woman can receive hatred from black men who are self-hating, whether they are exoticals or not. It can be anybody before anyone gets in the comments and says, oh, well, unambiguous black women experience this too. I get it. I'm talking about it through the perspective of who I am, and I'm an exotical. And so I want to talk about it through the lens of my experience because I find that we still fall under the preference, quote unquote, of self-hating black men, self-hating dark-skinned black men especially, because they realize that there's something different about us, even though we are not the typical quote unquote preference for them, which would be a light-skinned woman. We still have the features that they deem to make us a preference. So that's why you always hear like, oh, you're really, really pretty for a dark-skinned girl. It's because you have features that aren't associated with dark skin usually. And that's why they're saying that. They're saying that because you don't look like the typical average black woman, and it's shocking to them that you look that way while also having the skin tone that they hate so much. So the reason why I want to talk about this is because I've gotten some comments about how some men have really gone out of their way to make darker skin exoticals and brown skin exoticals feel uncomfortable or feel less than because they share the same skin tone or they are close in proximity to the same skin tone as dark-skinned men. And the reason why they do this is because they hate that you don't hate your skin color like they hate theirs. And I hate to break it to them, but we don't battle with inferiority complexes over here in exotical land. We actually look at ourselves through the lens of being privileged, and we actually love the parts of us that are different. We actually celebrate those differences over here in exotical land, and we do not look at our skin color as something to hold us back or something that is detrimental to our lives or how we can progress in society. But unfortunately, a lot of men who are self-hating, and again, I talked about this in a lot of my past videos, but it usually is darker skinned men, they tend to struggle with loving themselves and loving their skin tone. And usually the unambiguous ones are the ones who are loudest and the most proud of their fetishization of exoticals and their love for women who look quote unquote exotic. And I don't think it's a flex to be a self-hating man's preference. So I want to also preface this video by saying that we are not clapping because we are a preference over here. At least on my channel I don't, because I understand how violent and ugly and dark it can get when you subject yourself to being a man's preference who you know is only with you for your hair type, who's only with you for the color of your skin, who's only with you because you have features that don't remind him of his own. So I'm not in any way encouraging these unions because I understand how harmful they can be for the women who enter them. I'm simply saying that I understand there's a reason why they come over to us, looking for relationships, looking to plant their seed, looking to wreak havoc, and looking to humble us. So a lot of times these men come over to exotical women and want to get with exotical women because some part of them feels wounded by us. Some part of them may think that we remind them of their mothers or someone in their family who hurt them or someone in their family who they wish they can get even with, but they can't. So they're going to enact their fantasies of hurting this person on someone who looks like this person, which could be you or me. And that's the harmful and scary thing about dealing with self-hating men, is that they would rather take out their anger and frustration that they have with their mothers on beautiful black women, beautiful exotic women, instead of going to therapy, instead of looking in the mirror and realizing that they're the problem. They would rather go through their life inflicting harm on women who remind him of his mother or his aunt or his sister or whoever. And I just think that it's really sad that a lot of these men's agenda is to break beautiful exotic women. My own ex, I talked about this in previous videos as well, but my own ex was a unambiguous dark-skinned man, and he would compare our skin tones a lot. He would try to triangulate me with other exotical women, some who were lighter than me, some who looked just like me. It was all about humbling me, always, 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 always. He would do little things in public, like walk in front of me or act like he didn't know me when we would be out, or act like he was embarrassed of me when we would be out together. And that was just a way for him to make me feel like I wasn't worthy of his love. Looking back, it's so laughable because he wasn't that attractive. He wasn't as attractive as me. And he thought that it would hurt me and make me feel the way he feels about himself if he inflicted the same harm and the same inferiority complexes and the same insecurities that he feels about himself onto me. And that's when it becomes toxic, ladies, is when these men start treating you how they treat themselves. And I want us to really look out for the warning signs before we allow it to get to a point where it affects how we view and perceive ourselves, where it makes us think that we're less than because they've done such a good job at brainwashing you into taking on their inferiority complexes. It's so dangerous dealing with self-hating men, and a lot of us don't realize it because we may be approached by these men the most, or they may come onto you the hardest, or you've been brainwashed to believe that darker skinned men are more masculine, or darker skinned unambiguous men are less emotional, or darker skinned black men are most attractive. This is an idea that has kind of been pushed through social media, through the era of social media since the 2010s all the way until now, honestly, where being a dark skinned man has kind of trended, and a lot of exotical women unfortunately have fallen for that okie doke and have believed that these men are better matches for them because they're more masculine or because they are fully black. So that's why it's harmful, is because they've kind of created this narrative that they are the pinnacle of black manhood. And, you know, I have a video where I talk about black men and their relationship with the exotical black men in the community and how they treat them and how they're less than and viewed as less than. And even those men will say that it's unfair that these darker men are perceived to be more masculine than them, or the pinnacle of what manhood is, when a lot of them are feminine. A lot of them like to rest in their feminine energy and have you work and prove to them why you deserve to be in their good graces, why you deserve to be in their space. What we're not realizing is it's a facade, it's fake. You know, we were lied to. We were lied to. And so I want my exotical women out there to take a second before you jump into these relationships with these men who have a history of being self-hating, who have a history of trying to escape their blackness. Take a second and think about who he may be underneath all of the flattery that he's giving you, underneath all of the praise that he's giving you for your looks, underneath all of the pursuing and all of the heavy admiration that they have and this love bombing that they put on you. Think about who this person is. Really vet these men, because a lot of times, more often than not, I'm not going to say all of them, because obviously there are dark-skinned men who love all types of women who don't have inferiority complexes. Of course, I know this to be a fact. But what I won't sit here and do is lie and say that most of them aren't suffering from some type of inferiority complex that they use against the women in their relationships. So vet these men. Do your best to really pick them apart before you jump in and allow their love bombing and their words and their flattery to go to your head. Because a lot of times once they get you, they hook you, and then the triangulation begins, and then the devaluation begins. And devaluation is when the person who is love bombing you does a complete 180 and becomes someone different, where now they're insulting you, they're criticizing you, nothing you could do is right. Like I said before in previous videos, my ex started to compare his skin tone to me when I would get darker in the summer. It becomes a sick, twisted mind game with them, and they just enjoy it for sport at that point. And then now your emotions and your feelings are on the chopping block, and now your emotions and feelings are a game to them. All I'm trying to do is encourage my exoticals to protect yourselves at all costs. So ladies, drop down in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. I'll also be leaving my email in the description box, of course, so you can share your stories with me there as well. Have a lovely day, ladies.